When Francis was living in the world before his conversion, Francis was like pretty much everybody else. He couldn't stand to be around lepers. And he said that they were bitter to him, they were disgusting to him. But when he had his conversion, he calls his conversion his penance. He says that his penance began when he encountered a leper. Kind of noisy with the tractors. He said that his penance began when he encountered a leper. We don't know exactly where this encounter happened. The sources just say it happened when he was on his horse and he was going back to Assisi. So Assisi's right up there. This was the main leper hospital. This was the main leper hospital in Assisi. So it likely happened over here somewhere. There was another leper hospital a little bit closer to Assisi on the main road between St. Mary the Angels and Assisi, but that was a secondary hospital. So Francis, having the same impressions as everybody else did with the lepers, before his conversion, he's disgusted by the lepers. After his conversion, he embraces the leper. So what happened? Francis had been desiring to be a knight. He wanted to sort of move up the social ladder. He wanted to become part of the nobility. He was a middle-class miner. His father, at least, was a merchant. He wanted to better himself before his conversion. But his conversion brought him the opposite direction. And point up there, sweetie, again. You can see how Assisi's on a hill. See how it goes up and it's higher up? The higher you go, you can see the castle, the fort up on top of the hill. We can see that way up on the top. That's the highest place you can go in Assisi, right? And that's at the top of the hill where the castle is. That's where the Lord lived. Then you come down here a little bit and you see here the area of San Rufino. That's where St. Clare and her family lived. That's where the upper class nobility lived. If there weren't that tree there, you could go down a little bit lower towards the middle of Assisi. That's where the market was. That's where the merchants lived. The middle class. If you go down lower, you can't see it behind those trees, but the lower part of Assisi is where the peasants lived, because they would come down here to the valley, a little bit closer to Assisi, where their fields were, and they would work the fields. Then the lepers were way out here. They were way out here in the bottom, the lower part of Assisi. So what did Francis's conversion look like? Before his conversion, he wanted to go up to the top. He wanted to be a noble person, live up in this area, up towards where the Lord was, the upper part of Assisi. But after his conversion, he came down here to the lowest place, down here with the lepers. And you can see the church here that served the hospital. Francis came to the lowest place. Now, why did he do that? Because he was following Christ, who was the Son of our Father in heaven, but he lowered himself, came down here, took on human flesh, became a man. He became something lower than he was. His love, his charity, his divinity made him leave heaven, leave the riches and the wealth of heaven, lower himself, not cling to what was his, but come down here to the valley and down here to the world where the people were. And that's what Francis's conversion was like as well. As he's contemplating Jesus up in heaven, coming down in here to the world, Francis, who was born up in the upper part of Assisi, leaves Assisi, comes down here to the valley in order to be with the lowest of the low, the lepers.